Welcome to Peak World. In today's episode, we explore the complex legacy of Nelson Mandela, South Africa's first democratically elected president. Though universally celebrated, a small number of radical South Africans call him a sellout. Was he a great statesman or a traitor? A man celebrated by outsiders but questioned by his own people, it is Nelson Mandela. This exemplifies the saying that a prophet has no honor in his own town. Nelson Mandela is a world-renowned leader and global icon, celebrated and embraced by people all over the world. However, among the millions who celebrate him, there are a few, mostly from his own country, South Africa, who question his legacy or even use the word sellout to describe him, especially considering Mandela remained on the US terrorist watch list until 2008, when he was 90. Understand this, Mandela was a threat to American national security until he turned 90 years old. Let's delve a little into the life of Nelson Mandela. Mandela was born a prince into a royal family, seemingly destined for a privileged life. In his youth, he attended the best schools available at the time and later enrolled at Fort Hare University, where he studied law. His path, however, took a different turn. Upon arriving in Johannesburg, later in his life, Nelson Mandela encountered the harsh realities of segregation in South Africa. This led him to join the struggle after being recruited by Walter Sisulu. He was a founding member of the ANC Youth League. The leaders of this generation came up with the program of action for achieving freedom in our lifetime. Many from this 1944 generation of the ANC unfortunately died before seeing that dream realized. However, Nelson Mandela, feeling that the diplomatic approach of the movement was not enough, revolutionized it with his generation through acts of defiance. In 1952, in partnership with Tambo, they opened the first black law firm in central Johannesburg. These two leaders, given the lives they were living, had no need to pursue the struggle against the oppression of natives. But because they were selfless, they continued fighting the unjust system. He would fight the unjust system inside the courts and on the streets through the Defiance campaign. After realizing apartheid was gaining momentum, he then sought military training in Algeria and Ethiopia to fight apartheid and liberate South Africa. He founded Umkhonto we Sizwe and carried out several sabotage operations before his arrest. He also worked to establish a military base in Tanzania for MK guerrillas. When the apartheid regime arrested him, it was widely believed that he would be given the death sentence. Despite these fears, Mandela delivered a long and powerful speech, famously known as "I am prepared to die," in which he articulated his reasons for joining the struggle. It is also believed that while he was in prison, if he stopped advocating for freedom, he could have been given a high position and many benefits in the country. Plus, he was educated, bachelor's degree in arts, and practiced as an attorney. But this man sacrificed all of these just to achieve his generational mission of freedom in his lifetime. It is truly disheartening to see young people who often cannot sacrifice anything for their own financial or family freedom criticize a man who sacrificed 27 years of his life, who could not attend the funeral of his son or other family members while in prison, not for personal gain, but to achieve his generation's mission. After being released from prison, he was incredibly busy trying to build the nation of South Africa, which was on the brink of civil war. He worked tirelessly to unite black and white people and fought very hard to prevent a civil war in South Africa, particularly between the Xhosa and Zulu people, a division the apartheid regime had tried to exploit. One thing we must appreciate about President Nelson Mandela is that he served for only 5 years as state president, from 1994 until 1999. He then stepped down, allowing President Thabo Mbeki to become president of the ANC and subsequently the president of the nation. No one would have questioned him if he had chosen to stay longer, as this man had been in prison for 27 years fighting for freedom. After leaving government, Mandela was not like other African presidents who want to rule from the grave and who, even after their term, still want to control or undermine current leaders. Nelson Mandela allowed His Excellency Thabo Mbeki's government to lead South Africa, even though they sometimes had their differences. One such difference we can remember was the issue of ARVs. President Mandela believed that, as a country, people with HIV and AIDS needed ARVs, but President Mbeki disagreed. However, President Mandela did not try to stage a coup against President Mbeki. This man was very influential, and we must not forget that he was the founding president and commander-in-chief of Umkhonto weSizwe, the paramilitary wing of the ANC. Members of Umkhonto still respect Nelson Mandela. If he had wanted to stage a coup, he could have done that. Or, if he were like other leaders who cause chaos after their term in office or create new political parties, he would have. But Madiba left the government without any scandal or corruption. Nelson Mandela remained steadfast with his friends who supported him during apartheid, such as Fidel Castro and Muammar Gaddafi. It is believed that the reason the ANC did not nationalize mines was due to advice from Fidel Castro. Please listen to this explanation.
I wanted to discuss the Freedom Charter you were saying. You see, in the Freedom Charter, you talk about nationalization of banks and mines and all of this. Will you have the capacity to do that and simultaneously defend the revolution? Because those property owners and their allies across the globe will then launch a major offensive against you if you do that. Don't you need, first of all, to win this political victory, entrench yourselves, make sure that you're properly prepared to take on battles of that kind? And they gave an example of
Mandela not only ended apartheid, but he also fought against group acts that fueled tribalism. These acts forced each tribe to stay together in townships without integration. Now, however, a citizen can live anywhere without being worried about tribalism. We want to tell people that Nelson Mandela gave South Africans the opportunity to have freedom and to use that freedom to change policies and fight inequalities. If you feel like Mandela sold out, what are you doing with that freedom today? South Africa is a free nation today with freedom of speech where we can criticize without any fear. But in another nation, you can be arrested or worst can happen to you. Please, if you want this video interesting, please like this and subscribe to our channel.